Okay, this is 6-4. Alright, so we spent 2 days talking about the parallelogram, but we also have special parallelograms. If you look on your flowchart, you have the rhombus and the rectangle and the square underneath your parallelogram. Okay, so we're going to be adding some theorems to our flip chart. Okay, go back to your flip chart. Okay. All of this should be stuff that you already have written underneath your parallelogram. Some of you might have just put all parallelogram properties, which is fine, but if you need to have it written down so that you can study better, this is everything from a parallelogram. The only thing new we're going to add is theorem 6-11, which says the diagonals are congruent. What that means is that the length of that diagonal and the length of this diagonal are equal. This is only true for rectangles. It's not true for all parallelograms, just rectangles. So anytime you have a rectangle, this diagonal is going to be equal to that diagonal. We have 2 theorems for rhombuses. One of them is that the diagonals are angle bisectors. So what that means is if I have a diagonal, so my pin is my diagonal, that tells me that this angle is congruent to that angle, as is this one and this one, and they're actually congruent to each other as well. So when you have a diagonal, it cuts it into 4 equal angles instead of just originally it being 2 equal angles. The diagonal bisects, so you end up with 4 equal angles, and it would do it on this side as well. Okay, and then theorem -10 tells you that if I have both diagonals drawn, then that creates perpendicular lines, which means they intersect at 90-degree angles. Alright, and then obviously for the square, all 3 of those theorems should be written down because this falls under both of those categories. So all 3 theorems underneath the square. Alright, so let's show you some examples of those theorems. So this is obviously a rhombus. And the only angle I'm going to give you is this one. That one's 50. I want you to find A, B, C, D. Okay. Now, if you paid attention to what I just said on the rhombus, okay, remember, the diagonal bisects the angles. So when I put my pin up here, I said that created 4 congruent angles. So that automatic tells you that if this is 50, then so is this, and so is this, and so is this. So C and B are both 50. And then if you pay attention to the second theorem, it says that the diagonals are perpendicular. That means 90 degrees. So A is 90 degrees. This is because of theorem 6-9, and this one is because of theorem 6-10. And then to find D, you can just do a triangle angle sum, C plus 90 plus D. So C plus 90 plus D should all equal 180 because of the triangle sum theorem. And we said C was 50. So if I add those together and subtract, that gives me 140. And I get 40 for my answer for D. Okay, let's see an example of a rectangle. Rectangle. Okay, notice I've given you both diagonals. AC is 5y minus 9 and BD is y plus 5. And again, if you look at your theorem, the diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. So congruent means equal. So if they're equal, set them equal. solve. Okay. 16 divided by 4 is 4, so this is going to be a little less than 4, but 12 divided by 4 is 3, so that's halfway. Should give you 3.5. Alright, that's it.